everyone. Hope you're doing well today. My name is Nate. Thank you for joining. Today we're going to be going over how to do an isolation. So we will be tying this shirt right here today. So please be sure to look over this list of supplies and then we'll get started. We're going to take the shirt right here. So the shirt has been stained. It's got a little bit of dye on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to do an isolation. So an isolation isolates an area so that we can either keep this apart from something else, or we can shape this a certain way, or basically we're isolating this from the rest of everything else. And so with this, there's no pattern on the back. It's only on the front here. And so what we're going to want to do, and every kind of ink is a little bit different. So this I can tell, if we were to put any kind of dark colors or anything on this, it's going to make it to where we can't see it. So this part right here is going to have to be dyed some kind of light color. The rest of it we can dye another color. And so there's a few different ways that we can tie this. But to isolate this whole part of it, what we're going to do here first is lay the shirt flat. We're going to get all the wrinkles out. So getting the wrinkles out is important. That way this side of the shirt is the same as this side of the shirt. So you want to get it as flat as possible. All right. So then we're going to do what is called the sleeve through sleeve method. And it's going to make this side and this side the same, but the front of the shirt and the back of the shirt are going to be different. And so the way that I figure out where the middle of my shirt is here is I take these two ends and fold them like this and just do a little pull. And so that means right here is the middle of my shirt. So I can bring those over, let those go back, come up to here. It's a little easier to find the middle of the shirt, especially with this image having the middle right here. So all I'm going to do is just pick that up right there in the middle. And I'm going to pull straight up. I'm going to pull them apart a little bit so that it puts a little bit of tension on there, so there's not this slack. The tension allows it to actually fold down the middle. And then I'm just going to swing and lay flat. And so I can see it didn't quite lay up flat right here because of my image. The nose is a little off, so I'm going to adjust that. Just kind of fix this a little bit. I know my bottom is correct here. Okay, so once we've got this part flattened, then we can work on the rest. So we're going to take the wrinkles out going this way. So I come up to the top. And I'll take the front, back of the collar, kind of pull them apart just a little bit. That way I get the back. I can run down the back. I'm going to go down here, make sure that this is level as well. Okay, so then we're going to take this sleeve, stick your hand through it, and go all the way through to the other side. Grab the edge of the sleeve and pull it through. So you're going to line up the inner sleeve with the outer sleeve. So first thing I do is go down to the bottom right here. You're going to grab this seam, line those seams up, and then you're going to follow it down to the armpit. Make sure that's lined up right there so you can feel through it whether it's lined up or not. So make sure that your seams are lined up, and then stick your hand in and press it out so that the inner sleeve is up against the outer sleeve. And then come over here to the shoulder, which is right up here, and you're going to line this corner seam with the one that's underneath as well. Make sure your sleeves are lined up to the edges too. And then you're going to feel all the way around the seam and make sure everything is lined up. So you can feel it. You won't need to see it. You can feel, just adjust. Do little adjustments at a time. And as you move things, you may move something else, so you may have to go back and fix it. But as long as you keep your hand spread inside with your fingers out like this, it'll be a little bit easier for you to keep everything in place. So everything here seems to be good. So now we're going to line our shirt back out here. Take the sleeve. And there's always going to be a crease right here with this method. So what you want to do is when you pick this sleeve up, this crease that naturally goes, just kind of follow it so that when you fold it over, you'll flatten out this side a little bit. And then we're going to go back over to the front. I'll flatten out everything over here. Make sure the front is good. Front's what everybody sees. Oops, I hope you didn't hear me like just hit that. So the front is what everybody sees. So you want your front image to be as clean as possible, no wrinkles, as flat and level as possible. That way it is the same on this side as it is on this side, at least with this kind of shirt. As you can see with what I'm wearing, that's not important. But as far as like, this guy goes, when I tied him, it was the same from here to here. So you do want to make sure that your folds are flat, even. We're going to come over here, fix our shoulder, start to get all these wrinkles out. All right, let me check this back side now that the front is good. Get all the wrinkles out back here. Okay, so now both of our sides are good. It's a very soft shirt. Okay, so now for the isolation, what we're going to be doing is there's a few different ways to do this, and it's basically you can pleat to make it really nice. You can just kind of scrunch it up and it won't look as nice, or you can even do like a fan fold kind of from the middle to fold it up, which won't give it as clean of a border. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you the cleanest way to border it, and it is a form of pleating. And so while this is an isolation, this is a pleated isolation. So what we're going to do is we can start on either side. I'll just start up here on the top. And so you're just going to make a pinch. So if you know what a pleat is, it's basically you're making a fold, a pleat right here. You just make a pinch, and we're going to follow this all the way around. So you'll want, wherever you're going to tie off, you're going to want those pleats to be about the same height. On the inside, the pleats are going to be a little bit shorter, and on the outside, pleats are going to be a little bit taller. And even from here, so depending on if you want a pattern that has color coming out like this, that can change how you fold from here. And so, let's see. All right, so if you want the color to project outwards, kind of like how rays of light project outwards from the center of your light source, when you make your pleats, you're going to want the pleat to continue all the way out. So I'm going to go ahead and do that on this. On your image here, it's not quite as important, because what we're going to do for the image is we are going to dye this, especially since there is some excuse me, especially since there is some dye spill here. I don't even know, that's probably some spare dye in my art room. When I mix dye, because it's a powder, sometimes all it takes is one little speck to get on a shirt, and you can you can basically ruin it. Or now it has to be tie-dyed. So we're going to tie-dye this. And so we're going to pleat and then continue the pleat all the way out. In some shirts, this will be easier to do than others. This shirt right here is very soft, and it's not going to wrinkle as easily. And so some of the shirts that don't wrinkle as easy, they don't hold the wrinkles as well either. They'll want to kind of come undone. So you're going to have to be careful with this. If you need some clips to hold it, you can. Or you can just do like I do and just kind of work with it. So I do like my pleats always to go out. It is kind of hard to make the curve. So I will move the shirt a little bit. If you do not feel comfortable moving the shirt, you do not have to. So just continue these pleats here. I might have actually made it harder by moving that shirt there. I forgot I probably shouldn't do that as much on camera, just so that I make it easier for you. So hopefully I didn't mess you up too much there. I'm going to keep it still for most of this way here. So see how this isn't quite perfectly straight? I'm not too worried about that. So what I'm going to end up doing is putting some ties here and here. We'll see when we get there. Okay, so we're going to just keep with the smaller pleats down here and then bigger pleats out here. And like a fan fold, this is what a fan fold is basically, except for we are kind of controlling the line so that we can keep this side isolated. So this would be like it's a pleated isolation, but it's also a form of fan fold. We possibly could have even just stuck our finger right there and collapsed it up, and we would have gotten pretty close. Not quite as controlled. So this allows us to have a little more control here. So we'll just keep on pleating. Like right here, it's thicker because of this right here. This is doubled over. So you just want to make sure you get your pleats taller over here, especially once it starts to make the curve. The more the curve, the smaller it is on the inside and the larger it is on the outside. Some curves, like this one we're about to come up on here, is going to make there be pretty much no pleat going all the way in about here. What just happened there? Okay, so that. All right, here we go. So this one's going to be a big old pleat out here. Yeah, and you're going to end up having a tail way out here. That's what I always call that little piece that hangs off. Got a little tail. Okay. You can see how keeping this lined up for the most part. It's off a little bit, but that's not too bad at all. We are going to get some dye movement and stuff in this. Okay. We just got a couple more pleats left here. So at this point, I'm going to grab this whole thing, just shift, just like this. And there's our last of the pleats. So give it a nice little squeeze. That way it holds its shape. I'll move it up a little bit and over. All right, so I got rubber bands. Take the rubber band, twist in half, fold over, 4 fingers. You have to do 4 fingers or this will not work correctly. Pull it as hard as you can and separate the two like this. And when you do that, you can even put your thumbs in here to help. But by doing that, when you press down on the table, you can slide it all the way through without it hardly ever affecting the shirt. And so we're going to put our first one right here. I show this to everybody in my lessons. So I do lessons in person as well. And no matter how many times I show people how to do that, try to do it a different way. And then it doesn't work out, like do it just like this. I've tried many, many different ways. This is the best way. So as long as you can spread and press down on the table, it won't grab onto the shirt. There may be a point where it does start to grab. Sometimes when it grabs, that's its way of telling you that's where a rubber band goes. So we're gonna go ahead and put one right here too. And this one you can actually take, fold over, and just wrap the rest of the front. So what I'm gonna do is this is gonna probably be just one color all up here. And I'm gonna do that with this one too. This thing needs a little bit more tension on it. So we're gonna put one more just like that. And then right here, as like the outside border, I'm gonna wrap just one on here kind of tight. So we'll wrap it around a few times. This is our isolation line, right? Basically. So this right here is gonna help keep this separate from this. So we're gonna keep on putting rubber bands about every 1 to 2 inches or so. And once you get the hang of it, you can kind of slide it on there pretty quick. And it's going to take a few. I don't like to put wide gaps. Like say you put one here and one here and skip this. What'll happen is you'll end up getting less definition throughout your pattern. The rubber bands and the binding and the tension against each other, that's what helps give the definition and the defined lines and a little bit more detail. And so I always make sure people put plenty of rubber bands. There has been a few times some people have just put 1 or 2 on and go, is that enough? Like, I don't know. I don't think you're going to get the effect that you want, because just 1 or 2, it's going to end up making it all muddy pretty much. So even on this end here, so the tail, like I said, so if this, say we left this loose and untied, what would happen with this is all the color here would just blow out, and so it would just be kind of a blurry image, sort of. And we don't want that to happen. We want the image to go all the way to the edge. So keep it bound. Make sure the top stays on top and the bottom stays on the bottom. All right, so the section right here that we isolated off, that's going to be our lightest color here. So I've got a light turquoise teal. It's going to be much lighter than what it looks like here. So we're going to make sure to get this whole spot and dye it all. We're going to get both sides. So when we flip this over, we'll get the other side. But for now, I'm just going to dye this side. And then from here, I'm just going to do a gradient out. So this is the end of our isolation line. So what I'm going to do I'm just going to go down the line and color. So we're going to do some blue. And I'm not going to put enough here to go all the way through, just on that. So I'm actually going to use that color to, when we flip it over, we're going to dye the whole other side that turquoise teal color. So it's going to put between each rubber band here, put a different color. Make sure to get enough on there, but not over dye. It's kind of a good medium there that you can work with. It really depends on how much dye you want too. So if you want a bunch of white, don't put as much dye. If you don't want a lot of white, then put more dye. So I'm going to try not to get too much white in this, since it is kind of a stained, dingy shirt. Any white is just going to make it look like a stained, dingy shirt. So I really want to cover all of it. I let this dry a little too much. So it's kind of having a hard time absorbing the fabric. So I like to dye things when they're mostly dry but slightly damp. It's a hard spot to get. It's almost completely dry, but it's not actually completely dry. So what happens is when it gets completely dry, there's too much surface tension, and the water can actually sit on top before that surface tension is broken. And so when it's slightly wet, that surface tension is already broken, and it allows the dye to soak into the shirt very easily. But if it's too wet, then you can't saturate it with very much dye. So you're kind of an in between there. Yeah, so yellow's the color that probably sticks the quickest. It spreads the fastest. I use quite a bit of yellow. Yellow and black are probably the two colors I go through the most, even though yellow is not necessarily my favorite color. It's a good accent color, goes with everything. And so it just kind of goes on everything. And it gets, the colors next to it kind of eat it up. So it's, as you can see how that just splashed over in there. So once green or orange get into the yellow, it's those colors. Because yellow is one of the makeups of both, but in order to get both of those colors, yellow is going to be, green is going to be mostly yellow and just a tad bit of blue, and same with the orange. It's going to be mostly yellow with a tad bit of the red frequency. And so luckily, like, that's a pure dye, so pure bright orange. I don't believe there are any pure greens as far as I know. There might be, but I'm pretty sure that all of the greens are a yellow base with some blue mixed into it. So if you ever need some blue, if you ever need some green, just take some yellow, mix a tiny little bit of blue in there, and you'll get green, but not too much, because it'll definitely overpower it, and you'll get like emerald green or Kelly green, or start to get into the teals, even some forest greens and stuff. So really mostly yellow, and just a little bit of the blue to make those greens. And then here I don't want to put as much, because there's not very much fabric here, and so it wants to bleed down into this. So just got to be careful not to put too much. Just work your way out all the way down this tail. There's little bits on here, little bits. So we're going to be flipping this over and dyeing it with that turquoise color. And once that happens, if we put too much, since there's going to be some orange right here, hit the turquoise on the other side. We'll make some brown if those mix. So we only want to put a little bit right there. Make sure we got a good amount on here so we can kind of tell from the side how much dye is on there, and like the yellow spilled over, so we don't actually have quite that much. I do want a little bit more blue and a little bit more of this green. Oops, almost splashed some of that green over into the yellow. That should probably be good on those. So then we're going to flip this over. Oh yeah, it feels like I got room for a lot of dye in there. This thing feels pretty light. But this whole side is going to get this side. So actually what I'm going to do is kind of give a little half wetting for all of it. Since it's dry, it's going to have a hard time absorbing. So I'm just going to drag this out, let a little drop or two hit all of it. That way it can kind of resaturate itself, and then it'll be easier to put dye over it after this point. So I don't want too much of it to bleed. If it bleeds down the side, especially like right here where this orange is, I'm going to get a bunch of brown, and I don't want a bunch of browns in this. And then if it bleeds into this yellow here, whoops, I'm going to get a bunch of green. I don't want too much green. And this will turn green. And then if it blends into the blue, it just kind of blends into the blue and turns blue. And it's all right if some of this bleeds into the purple. I like the way that turquoise and purple look once they line up with each other. Make sure to get enough on here to saturate it. We're going to work our way up and down the shirt a little bit. Since it was dry, definitely I can tell it's having a little trouble accepting some of this dye. And this isn't one of my usual shirts that I work with. Let's see, somebody gave me this actually a long time ago. I don't take shirts from people. This was actually from another tie-dyer who'd asked if I wanted to tie-dye it. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll tie-dye it one day. It's been a couple of years now, I think, since I got this shirt. I keep looking at it and I go, I need to dye that. I need to dye that. Oh, yeah, I need to dye that. So I decided, well, I'll dye it. I'll dye it as part of my isolation series so that people can see how to isolate it. So you can see just that side was isolated, and we went with this lighter color, which may not look too light here, but once we wash this out, it'll show its true color. This should be diluted down pretty good. My turquoise and teals, I don't make full strength. I've noticed that they look more like a Kelly green or emerald green or a forest green or something, depending on how deep the colors get. And so when it's a slightly lighter color, it actually looks more accurate, I feel like. Okay. And then we're going to do one thing here. All right, so here's our border. So we want to make sure not to get, I've got some black here. I want to make sure not to get any of the black anywhere near this over here. Okay, so this is our image. So if the black gets over into this image, that image will disappear because it needs some kind of lighter color behind it for it to show up. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to put to about right here, just a light touch, and then a little bit on all of this down here. Is going to give more definition to it. It's going to give some dark and light colors. And how much? It's just right here. I'm going to put a little bit of. So we didn't get enough of the turquoise over on some of this. So I'm going to add a little bit more turquoise just right there. And then that's good. And so we're going to add a little bit of black over these colors here. It's just a little bit to get on it. You don't want to oversaturate it, or otherwise you can have a real dark shirt, unless you want a dark shirt. Just enough. Now we're going to let that sit till tomorrow. All right, so our shirt is now washed and dried. So if you need to see how to do that, please watch my video, how to rinse and wash your tie-dye. They'll go over the instructions for you for you. So we're going to go over the shirt just a little bit. And so what we did here is we isolated this image from the rest of the shirt. And so that tie that we did goes along right here. And then we put the lighter turquoise into the middle. And we probably could have even gone even lighter on the color, because the stamp here isn't actually black. This is gray. It's kind of a light gray. And so with it not being the darkest, you could also go lighter kind of to blend with it and stuff, but we can still see what our image is here. But if we had put like black, or actually with black, you still may have even seen it because it would have stayed a little lighter. But if we had done like a gray or something here, you would not see that at all. And so you kind of got to go with your colors and match just to see what works there. And then so after we tied that, we did our rainbow outside of it. And so you can see how we've got fuchsia, orange, yellow, green, and blue to fade out. And then on the other side, how we continued this turquoise. And so this put this halo basically that goes right through. And so every other stripe was our top. And so our rainbow is every other stripe. And then in between that is the turquoise color. And then on the other side, since we did the sleeve through sleeve method, that ends up separating the front from the back. And so we get a different pattern on the back side of the shirt as we do from the front side of the shirt, but it's still mirrored from left side to right side. So as long as you make sure all of your folds or all your wrinkles are taken out at the beginning and your shirt is lined up just right, you'll end up having a mirrored image from side to side on the back side. And then your front and back will also be different, but the front will also be mirrored from side to side as well. So please be sure to click that like and subscribe. My name is Nate. Thank you for watching.